Hi, it's Nikki from the controller's office.
Hi, Nikki.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Jason York's here.
Morning, Jason.
Good morning, Commissioner. Maya's on.
Morning.
Morning, solicitors. No, good morning, Commissioner. Solicitors. And Commissioner Maravito's here also.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I haven't gotten the live notification yet.
Okay.
Well, we have 2 minutes.
Click agenda.
Hi, good morning. This is Brandon Ball calling in.
Good morning, Brandon. We're live now. Just needs to move a little bit.
I'm going to add grip to my title.
That should be good. I think that'll be good. I'll let you know. Do you want to stand there for 2 minutes?
Does it look like it's going to be good?
I think it's going to be okay. Is my name? Where's my name tag at? Yeah,
Good.
I think we'll be good.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I ask you to please rise for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. Gracious God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather this morning. We ask you for your guidance and blessings as we conduct our work. Grant us wisdom and a spirit of enthusiasm as we move forward with many projects. Where we've been through many difficulties as a nation, we ask and pray that you be with those ones that have lost loved ones, those that are still recovering from the illnesses, those that are unemployed, and the ones that have been subject to many abuses that plague the world. We ask that you take each one in the palm of your hand and restore them. Provide them healing, peace, and hope. Father, we've also seen a spirit of giving of oneself and their resources through these times. No matter what the age is, whether it be 8-year-olds like Noah and Giovanni, or more seasoned members of our community, giving in extraordinary ways, we know that reflects the love in us. May we cling to those actions so that they become the norm rather than the exception in the days on the horizon. And we humbly ask your blessing on this meeting. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will convene the Commissioners' public meeting at this time, and we'll ask for approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So carried. At this time, we'll have public comment on agenda items only. Yes, please come forward up to the podium, and then please state your name for the record. And keep your comments limited to 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Good morning, my name's Todd Lauer, I'm from Jersey Shore. I'm here to comment on bid opening, construction of the flood wall. Okay, I believe this is for the magistrate, the Solomon, the new building, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm just gonna make my comments here. First of all, I don't think the move was even needed. Okay, and second of all, it looks like the commissioners really dropped the ball on this one. Okay, in my opinion, there should have been at the minimum 8 safeguards in place to prevent this. Okay, and I will name them. 1, 2, 3 commissioners, that's 3. Okay, we have a solicitor, I don't know, $250,000 a year, whatever he gets paid. Slipped by the solicitor, he didn't do his job. Okay, then we have a head procurement officer that states nothing gets by her. The check doesn't get signed until it gets by her. So that's $65,000 a year. There we're down to, that's 5 safeguards. Okay, we have a register and recorder of deeds that's supposed to do this stuff, that should know this. Okay, there's 6 safeguards that should have been in place to prevent the waste of taxpayer money on this. Okay, now, here's the good one here. We have the flood and hazard mitigation officer, which, if you look out on the wall there, Lycoming County's comprehensive plan, priority number 4 issue is flood and hazard mitigation. There's another safeguard that didn't do their job at $65,000 or $70,000 a year. So we're to 7. Okay, here's the best of all. Okay, and this is a quote from you, Mr. Metzger, before you were commissioner. This man knows more about the county than you 3 put together. And you were talking about Mr. Macera, Mr. Metzger, or Mr. Mirabito, and Mr. McKernan. And the man you were talking about just got a $15,000 a year raise and makes $100,000 a year, our director right there. If he knows everything about what's going on in Lycoming County, how did this get by him? I must be up to $500,000 of taxpayer-funded payroll here. You people aren't doing your job, okay? Me as a taxpayer, I don't want to pay for this wall. Stuff enough just paying. We pay these ridiculous salaries to you people and you can't even do your job, okay? You know, the last time we heard that about someone like that was when Marcy Hessert was here. And you see what she left us with 6 months of work that Tanya Peterson had to catch up. Okay, we have Commissioner Macera's comment, I was really upset because it was grandfathered in. That comment should have never been made because this should have been taken care of before this sale was even done. Okay, so now here's a couple more questions. Who's going to be held accountable for this? What type of sanction or punishment is going to be, who's going to, how's the taxpayers going to get compensated for this? You guys are wasting our money, and what's going to happen? You're just going to throw your hands up and say, oh, well, we're elected officials. That's just part of being an elected official. Okay, so I feel, I'm going to close with this. Oh, one more. We did have the zoning officer right there across from Solomon Building who goes around and arrests people all the time for putting sheds up in the flood zone. Could have just walked across the street and asked him about it. Nobody thought about that. I feel, in my opinion, this is criminal in nature, but I am not sure if it would be considered theft by deception or more along the lines of theft by stupidity. That's my comment. Thank you. You people got to start doing your job. Get how much money you get a year. I ain't picking that up. You pick it up. Pay this ridiculous money you can't even got to keep paying.
Thank you for your
You're
comments.
welcome.
And although I have to agree with you on a couple of those statements, everybody makes mistakes, and the buck stops here at the Commissioner's office.
Right.
We are accountable, and you do it at the voting place. I wish we could say we never made mistakes. And I wish that we could say that we could change some of these ridiculous regulations that are placed on buildings that are pre-existing, okay? But we can't. And we're not going to catch everything. I will defend the people that you mentioned, okay? If they miss something, and it can happen. There's a document in here that's about this thick, okay? They do a phenomenal job, for the most part. Okay, we can always miss something, and unfortunately, it can cost us money. We've done it in the past, and I assume that we will do it in the future. But we'll learn from our mistakes. And I wish that we, when I say I'm angry at myself too, for not understanding or knowing the regulations that were involved. If we would have, we probably would not have bought that building, but we did. And I'll take full responsibility for that.
This is Commissioner Maravito. I could be wrong, but I think I'm having trouble recollecting, and I don't have my notes in front of me. But I think we knew, Mr. Lauer, that the building was in the flood area. We knew that. What we didn't have an exact figure on, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my recollection. If someone else recollects differently, please speak up. But what we didn't have an exact figure on was the mitigation that was going to need, or the remediation that was going to be needed to be able to put the building the way we wanted. Now, having said that, in retrospect, I think I might have still gone through with the building, knowing that the wall was going to cost X amount, and I might differ a little bit with my colleague there, Commissioner Matera, and the reason being this: we were having a tremendous difficulty finding a building for Magistrate Solomon that met all the requirements. We can't just take any building in the county because it has to be within his jurisdictional district. We had to have other certain requirements having to do with police coverage and so forth. So this building, at the price we obtained it, met the needs we had. We have been in the other building for 40 years. And if you think about all the rent that the taxpayers have paid over 40 years, we could have bought a building. And that's one of the reasons why I think we were in favor of putting a building there. We know that the magistrates are going to always be part of our system. So having said that, you raised good points, but I think that it's important to understand it in the total context of the problem we're trying to solve. And sometimes we can't get the perfect building with all the needs we have at the perfect price. So I appreciate that you pay attention to what's going on, and that you're obviously, you sound a little upset about it, which is legitimate. None of us want to spend money, but at the same time, there's rules that we have about flooding, because we know that when it floods, there's a lot of risk to the property and to people's lives. So I don't know, Mr. Lauer, if that answers the question anymore for you.
I guess that's the only answer I'm going to have to accept.
Mr. Lauer, I'll make a statement. I usually don't during public comment, but I will. This is an unfortunate situation that happened. Okay, it took place the last week before I came into office. The previous three commissioners decided to buy this building, and it was done. That was their decision. Moving into it this year, or 2020, we found out at that point that it was in the floodplain. It was flooded one time in the last 100 years. One time, the 96 flood, which had numerous environmental things that took place. An ice jam, extreme temperatures that were melting a foot of snow down from the mountains. It's the only time that building's flooded. But as a result, it was in the floodplain. It was 6 inches of water. Now, moving forward, we're self-insured. It's our building, but they're still requiring this wall to go up. When we all met in August on whether we were going to move forward with the building, my question is, will it stay under budget? Because if it didn't stay under budget, I wasn't going to be in favor of it. Right now, it's within budget. Even with the wall, it's within budget. So that's the reason why we're moving forward with it. Okay? It wasn't people weren't doing their job. They were doing their job. They found out after the fact it was flooded one time in 100 years. A 96 flood. The key is to make sure it doesn't go over budget. And that's the reason why we're moving forward with it. Our people are doing the work, they're doing a good job at it. That's all I'm gonna say. Any other item on public agenda? Public comment on the agenda items only? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to bid openings.
Bid openings with Nikki Gottshaw. Nikki?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. We had 2 bids that were due. The first one is for the second quarter food products for prison and pre-release. We did receive 3 bids, Cisco, Kiko, and Feasters. Those are our normal bidders, and those are multi-line, so Maya will go ahead and do her analysis on that. Our second bid was for the construction of the flood wall. We did receive 2 bids. One was from Minichi, and one was from Turnkey Construction. Minichi's amount was $377,000. And Turnkey's amount is $189,500.
And Commissioners, this is Maya. I'm going to look at this. Obviously, Turnkey sounds more realistic of what the budget was for the wall, what we anticipated the cost to be. Obviously, I'll look at that in detail with Ken to make sure that it meets the needs of the project before we formalize approval.
Okay, thank you, Maya.
Here, with that being said, and the prices that came in, I received some information from a company, I think out of Wisconsin, that are portable flood walls. You fill them up, and you put them around the structure, and they stop the water from coming in. Now, I'm not sure that they'll do anything as far as hydrostatic pressure, which they won't. But to our recollection, when we inspected that building, that's one of the things that we looked at, cracks in the concrete, and any indicators that would lead us to believe that they had hydrostatic pressure, where water would come up through the concrete and flood. We didn't see that. So is that a viable option? Is that something that the codes would accept? Because it certainly would be less than that. And I'm assuming that that company saw it in, in the paper, and that's why they notified me. So we should look at that and see if it could fall within those guidelines, acceptable guidelines.
Do you want me to have John look at that?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
I would hesitate to say that. They're used a lot of times in knowing flood is coming.
Right.
A lot of times, like for certain public infrastructure, but we'll look into that and see if the codes allow that.
You can place them within 45 minutes.
Yeah, and that's why they're
And
used a
with
lot
all
of
of
times
our
for
technology
protection.
here, we know if a flood's coming.
We'll look at that.
Great, thank you. Okay.
Okay, we have 2 employee service awards today. The first one is Holly Thomas. She's with the Clerk of Courts and has been here for 20 years. And did you want to say something, or anybody?
Good. You're her boss.
I thought so.
I think Holly's her own boss.
Well, I should say supervisor.
I've been here long enough, 20 years. Okay, Holly, started with the county in January of 2001 as a clerk 3 in the Pathonetary's office, hired by the infamous Bill Byrd. Worked in that department for 14 years before moving on to the district attorney's office as an administrative specialist. She worked there 5 years, and in 2020, when I came on board for my first term, I was lucky enough to bring her on board into the Clerk of Court's office. Her experience both in the Pathonetary's office working on the criminal end and with the DA's office has proved invaluable as we made that transition of the separation of the Clerk of Court's office and build that team down there, which continues to grow, and we implement some new procedures. So we're lucky to have her, and the 20-year pin is a big thing, and hopefully it doesn't change her attitude. So congratulations to Holly.
Yeah, right here. Holly, I've worked with you next door, and you've always been a great asset to the county. You're very helpful. When we've asked for things next door and from our office and probation, you were always there to assist us. And even with the public, I've come downstairs and see you helping the public, and you've done a tremendous job. So thank you for your many years. Yeah.
That's a long time, you know. A good thing is that sometimes we just don't hear your name. So we know you're doing your job. No, your name been mentioned many times over there as far as the efficiency and what you do. My office is right up there. I see the hard work and how dedicated you all are. You don't get a lot of time, you know, so we appreciate your service.
Okay. Commissioner, you have anything?
Yeah, just wanted to say, Holly, congratulations, and you've always been a cheerful, smiling face. Whenever I was over there in the DA's, I haven't had a chance to see in the clerk of courts, but I'm sure you still have your smiling face. So congratulations and thank you.
She does even behind her mask. Okay, we have a pin here and a certificate. Thank you.
And then we have Brandy, is it Lichetti? Lichetti. Prothonotary, and she's been with the county for 10 years.
Is it really Lichetti? I
Really?
don't think I've ever said your last name.
Lichetti.
Lichetti. Okay. First of all, they'll be happy to know that they don't have to take pictures, so you're happy about it. So Brandy started actually as a part-time person working over at the prison in the maintenance department. And in May of 2011, February 2011, which would be 10 years, came over, worked for the maintenance department, working out of the courthouse and 3rd Street Plaza and this building, Executive Plaza. In April 2017, she moved to the county prothonotary's office as a file clerk, and then eventually worked her way up into a clerk 3 position, working with all the family court issues. She certainly is known as our office expert in the custody and divorce issues. She's contacted by the courts all the time. What I've learned about Brandy is that she's very meticulous in what she does and keeps notes on everything and little secret stashes, and she knows just about everybody in this county. So 10 years is halfway there. She's a big part of the prothonotary team, and I'm lucky to have her in that office.
Well, Brandy, thank you for your years of service, and 10 years. And Tom's been our prothonotary for a year. So you're probably one of the longest ones that stayed with the prothonotary's office from the past administration. You were there 9 years, correct?
No, 17 she started.
I'm sorry, 17. You were within our department, I'm sorry. Yes, okay. Well, thank you so much for your service. We appreciate everything you've done, and continue success, and we hope that you stay here many more years. Yeah.
And Brandy is a good example of how you can get moved within county government, you know? And that's so important because we have, 535 full-time employees, and, you know, the scope of everything that everybody does is so far-reaching, from courts to children and youth services and whatnot. And as you prove yourself in one position, you get noticed. And so the advancement is there. Even if it wasn't your intent, to be in that department. We've seen a number of people move, like John Yingling, who was a director, in those positions. So for the public, county government is a good place to work. It offers a good benefit package, And we have great employees here, and we call them team members, because without the team, you know, the service that we provide to our constituents just would be second rate. And I think Lycoming County has proven that they do a good job for a fifth-class county.
Thanks, Steve. Commissioner?
Brandon, yes, Brandy, congratulations to you also, and we appreciate the meticulous as Tom described, because that is very important with the custody and the divorce issues, and getting it right is so important in terms of what the county does, its role in it. So thank you for the 10 years, and we look forward to having you here with us for 10 more.
Okay. Thank you, Brandon. We have a pen and a certificate for you.
Okay, we're going to move on to 4.0 with Nikki Gottshaw, the Accounts Payable Cash Requirements Report. Nikki?
Yes, good morning again. The cash requirement report this week is $819,942.95. Did you have any questions, Commissioners?
I had one quick question.
Sure.
Employee premium conversion, is that the health insurance premium that the employees pay? I'm sorry, it's under escrow on the front page.
Then yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I had most of my questions answered this morning by Heather, but let me see. Let me see what page the other one was on. Apologize here. And this had to do with the planning department. Okay. And I don't know if you got my email this morning, Shannon?
Yeah.
Okay. So, one of the payouts is to Bassett Engineer, and it has to do with the fee, the $5 registration fee, and paying Bassett Engineering for its consultant. So, this is the, well, we started this a while ago, maybe 3 years ago, was it? And I think it's time that the public sees and hears what the progress is on the $5 registration fee.
Sure. Good morning, Commissioners and everyone. I can speak with that. Sal Vitko, yep, with Lycoming County Planning. I'm one of the transportation planners in the office. So what Commissioner Sarah is referring to is the Lycoming County Bridge Bundling Program. That's a program where we have 17 bridges throughout the county that were in serious need of repair. There are going to be 4 bundles within that program. Bundle 1 right now is currently finishing up on design, and permitting is being approved, and everything is being reviewed by PennDOT. Those 4 bridges are in Elder Township, so Caleb's Creek Road, in Hepburn Township, Clump Road, and in Limestone Township in Mill Road, and then in Muncie Township, off Mooney Road. Currently on that schedule, construction should begin sometime this April in 2021. Bundle 1 should be completed with construction by fall 2021. Bundles 2 and 3 are going to be being designed later this spring, summer, with Bundle 2 construction scheduled to begin of spring of 2022, and Bundle 4 will be designed in 2022 as well. The funding source for that was using part of the $5 fee for that project. And the Bassett Engineering has been very good with communication with the county and with our department, with any questions or concerns or anything like that.
And Sal, every penny that is collected out of the $5 registration fee goes back to what? Every penny.
We are using that $5 registration fee to fund this project, in that the $5 fee is staying in the county. It does not go to funding other municipalities outside of Lycoming County. It's for the county itself.
And I think that when we made a decision on the $5 bundling fee, and I know Commissioner Marabito probably have a couple things to say about this, but that was one of the most important pieces of that legislation, that no one would take any administrative cost. No one, it wouldn't part of it go to the state or the federal. It all stayed in our community. And we're going to see the benefits starting this year, finally.
Yes, you'll be seeing. Yes, the bridge bundling program, these are all local municipal-owned bridges.
Yes.
So you're dealing with small municipalities in some cases that this is a huge benefit to them. If they were going to do this on their own, it would be much more expensive for them as a municipality on their own. The whole plan that between Mark Morawski and Scott Williams, when they devised this, and others in the planning department, was to scale that up and provide those cost savings.
Yes. And Commissioner Marabito, you may want to add, a little comment on how it did save those taxpayers in those municipalities. The money.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a savings on property taxes, because all those municipalities that participate, and I think there are about 17,000 local bridges.
Correct, there are 17 local bridges.
Yeah.
So far.
17. So that means, for example, Washington Township, the cost to repair the bridge, I think, is $800,000. And that would mean that the people in that township would have to raise the money through property taxes to do it. It would put an incredible burden. And although every municipality is not going to have something fix this cycle, this program can continue, and eventually there'll be something in your community that will need to be fixed. So that's a really important part of it, is the property tax savings. And the other part is the efficiency of scale. Bassett Engineering is, first of all, was selected through a bid process, but also they are bundling the bridges so that instead of having to redo engineering on 17 bridges, which is what would have been happening in the past, the state legislature, when this program was put into effect, decided that it was important to save money on the engineering side. So they are bundling the bridges and putting like bridge repairs under the same type of engineering requirements. And then the other thing, the third thing, is that these are not county bridges, and I think it's really good for the community to say that, as a county, we stepped up to do this, notwithstanding that it wasn't really our responsibility. It was the responsibility of the municipalities. But that's how we're going to save money, and that's how we're going to build a stronger community, is when we can, work together to find efficiencies and so forth. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, Commissioner. Thank you. If I can also add just one last thing. We are partners with the municipalities in this. This is not just the county telling them what they're getting. Bassett Engineering provided studies for each specific bridge. The municipalities reviewed those and then selected between a couple of options that best suits their needs. And they're on board with being a partner, and it's been a great program so far.
Plus, they have a 5% match.
They do. They are also financially, there's some money in there for them.
Of all the projects of all the ordinances that we passed, this one had a lot of phone calls opposing it. When I say a lot, 27 to be exact, in my office. And after explaining it to them, all but one understood. But I received many more public comments about how they appreciated us passing this $5 registration fee. And I think it was because they understood that their communities, they would have to all raise taxes. And, it may not sound like a lot, a $400,000 bridge or an $800,000 bridge, but when you have a population of 1,000 people, it's a lot of money. So, and everybody, for the most part, uses it, whether it's, first responders, the fire trucks, ambulances, motorcycles. I mean, we love to ride around the country. So we're going across bridges, and especially some of those bridges that we don't even know are there. And so it was probably one of the most beneficial things I've done as a commissioner in my tenure here.
Sal, do we know how much has been collected? $5? How much?
How much the total?
Yeah.
I don't have that on me right now. I can get that to you though.
Okay.
I didn't have that on the top
He
of my
did
head.
send it to me, I didn't bring it down.
Okay.
You know, just so the public understands, we borrowed money on a bond, and we're making the bond payment with the money we received from the $5 fee, along with I think some other funds, right? Sal, or
There's
is that $5 covering the whole bond payment?
There's a public infrastructure bank loan, which is in with PennDOT right now being reviewed. We haven't heard.
Oh, that's
back
right. It
yet.
wasn't a bond. We did the infrastructure bank loan, right? That's what you're referring to?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
That's okay.
But, you know, as Commissioner Mazer said, it really is something that is so small, if you think about it, $5 on your registration, and we're able to repair 17 bridges, plus because we were out front with it, early on, the state gave us additional bonus money that we're using to fix some county bridges. But it shows how having a strong county planning department can help us do the, head work, the intellectual work of putting all the papers together and everything to get this done. And so that's appreciated too.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sal.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Commissioners, did you have any other questions about the report?
No, thank you, Nikki.
No. Hearing no more questions or comments, I have a motion to accept the cash requirements.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Personnel actions with Roxanne Grieco.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Roxanne.
In the coroner's office, we have Alexis M. Martin as a full-time new position deputy coroner. Pay grade 7, $18.26 an hour, effective March 8th, 2021. In maintenance, Gregory J. Costa, full-time replacement promotion. Maintenance 3, pay grade 8, $22.50 an hour, effective March 7th, 2021. In public safety, Jeffrey L. Hutchins, full-time reclassification to fully qualified status as Director of Public Safety, pay grade 14 at a salary of $86,112.60, effective March 7, 2021. And in DPS EMS, William D. Miller, full-time replacement EMS Regional Field Coordinator, pay grade 7 at a salary of $35,642.46, effective March 15th, 2021. Do you want me to do the next one separate?
Let's go over these first,
Okay.
and we'll approve these. Any comments or questions? The full-time new position for the coroner, obviously has been understaffed for quite some time. I believe it's been a dozen years, or close to a dozen years, since he's had new staff added. And through the pandemic, they're even more in need of a new person. So that is the one full-time position that we did add to our budget going into 2021. Mr. Hutchins is Director of Public Safety. He's now fully qualified, so he was reclassified to reflect that. Now he's fully qualified after a year in service, and the other ones are replacement positions.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
We put on Jeffrey Hutchins, what, a year ago now?
Yeah, February of 2020.
And it's a very difficult position to fill. And I can say this, after 1 year, we made the right decision.
Yes, we did.
He is well respected with everyone in the community. He works tirelessly for this community in every aspect, and his background's EMS. But as a director of public safety, day and night, it's whenever we call, he responds immediately, if not within minutes. We chose the right person, and I want to thank Jeffrey for everything that he does for Lycoming County and its constituents, and I hope you're here a long time.
Yeah, I got him hired just in time for the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Just in time, so if we wouldn't have had one with the pandemic, it would have been, quite a mess. He's been instrumental through that process too. Yeah. Commissioner, you have anything?
Nope, I was going to note, I think you covered that he had been here a year on the reclassification. And, the coroner needs help. I mean, it's just a reality that trying to staff that job 24/7, 365 days a year is very difficult to do. And so that's why we added that position. And hopefully we'll be able to get some schedule together so that people can have some semblance within the, as the coroner likes to say, you can't schedule when people die. So.
Yep, and as we add this one new position for 2021, we have, as next week, as we move into next week, we'll be removing some positions that haven't been filled, that we see the need that we don't need to refill, so we'll be removing those. So we continue to evaluate departments and look over the overall hierarchy of the entire county system.
But we should add that, we're looking at the schedule for the coroner right now, and that one person that we hired is still not adequate to fulfill all the spots.
Yeah, all their needs.
We're trying to come up with a solution as far as overtime and whatnot, but we haven't weighed it all out yet.
Yeah, the coroner's request was for 3 people, and we've given them 1, so we're trying to come up with solutions to accommodate everybody.
And the reality is we may have to end up adding another. I mean, it's been 10 years. I won't say that definitively right now, but it's been 10 years that he hadn't had any increase. And certainly the amount of activity in the county with deaths has gone up. But we will try to work it where we can here.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I have a motion to accept the personnel actions.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, so carried.
Moving on to 5.5, Commissioners, I'm asking you to vote on the personnel actions that were processed for the month of February 2021.
I have a motion to accept.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, so carried. Okay, we'll recess the Commissioners' public meeting at this time and adjourn the salary board actions.
Okay. Commissioners, we're asking you to vote on the updated list of special detectives for the DUI Center.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Now, Matt, could you go over that briefly so that the public understands what it is? If I cut you off.
Which one, Commissioner?
It's the
Salary board.
Salary board.
The special detectives.
For the DUI.
Yeah, each year, the district attorney updates his list of officers from the supporting police departments within the county that are going to man the DUI center. It's a part-time assignment, and he is just officially naming the officer that will be participating in the program. And this is paid for through PennDOT and their funds.
Okay, any questions or comments? I have a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, so carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll adjourn the salary board actions at this time and reconvene the Commissioners' public meeting.
Action items, so Maya Toon, you have 7.1 through 7.4. Do you just want to go through those?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
The first item, 7.1, is to vote on the amendment to the professional service agreement and administrative service agreement with CEDACOG. This is with regards to the CHIRP funds. As you know, last week we approved for them to administer that program on our behalf. This amendment outlines how the disbursement of funds will be done, which we got determination that all of those funds will be passed through to CEDACOG up front, and then they will disperse accordingly to those that are eligible businesses.
Okay, so businesses can start applying for these on March the 15th through June the 15th, and they must be in the hands of the business. The checks must be in the hands of the business by July the 31st. They'll be in $5,000 to $50,000 check increments, depending on approval from CEDACOG. From speaking last week with CEDACOG, the application fee will be $350 per application. The ones that are approved. Now, DCED told them that they could take up to $500 per application, whether they be approved or not. CEDACOG didn't take that approach. They will take and administer a $350 fee only on those ones that are approved, which was very generous of CEDACOG to do that. So we want to thank them as a partner in this project.
Mr. Chairman, you're the representative of CEDACOG. Maybe you can explain why it went up slightly, because last week I think we announced to the community it was 300.
Yeah, they're going to be more involved in the entire process, the dispersing of the checks and everything. So their duties have increased. So they raised it by $40 per application. And as stated on the call last week with the other county commissioners, DCED said the extra work you can just charge up to the $500. And even if the application is not approved, you can still charge the $500 fee, and they didn't think that was appropriate. They felt that the monies are coming through should help the people, the businesses, and they rather see that. So they said that we'll only charge $340 per applications of the ones that were approved.
Shannon, could you approach? So we have the ERAP rental assistance program here, and we're reviewing it at the time. And I had a couple questions, and I don't believe we're going to be able to change it, but I just wonder.
No, this is separate
Yeah,
from
this
what
is
you're
separate.
discussing.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about CHIRP.
CHIRP is the hospitality funds.
No, we're on the hospitality one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is for the CHIRP. It's for those hospitality entities that file with an NAICS code of 721 or 722.
Yep.
We've been having a lot of calls into the office to, I heard there's new funding, and we've been letting them know that the commissioners will be announcing it. It will probably have a link on the commissioner's website to go to CEDACOG where the application is, and that it should be up and running by March 15th.
Right.
So, and it's if you file under a business code of 721 and 722, which is basically restaurants, hotels, motels. So
I apologize. I had both in front
there's a
of
lot
me.
of acronyms going around right now.
I had both in
This is
front of
CHIRP.
me. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this one is the
Hospitality.
$1.28 million.
Right.
Right.
Correct, yeah.
Right, and
This
it was
one will be coming up
required,
soon.
yeah, it was required by the state that we go through an economic organization, which CEDACOG qualifies, and they were the ones that helped us with the previous funds too.
Yep.
And it would be helpful if the entities like the paper and the radio stations could really try to get this information out, because we had a couple of businesses that didn't learn about the last round that we did and applied too late.
Yep.
So try to get the word out to them.
Right, and
Well, I do know, this is Maya, that in talking with CEDACOG, their intention is to do a formal rollout notification, so it'd be a media release.
And it's really important to let people know the requirements for these grants are not county requirements. In this instance, the requirements are coming from the state. With the previous monies, it was federal requirements. We have to follow what they give us. So if you don't meet the criteria, then you can't receive funds. And that was very confusing for a lot of people. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, it was the county that refused us funds. No, it was, you have to qualify under the right information and have the right, meet all the criteria. And it can be a little difficult, but we are audited for these funds, so that's the thing to remember.
Yes, and between $5,000 and $50,000 is not chump change. It can absolutely save a business.
But it does require some work on their
Right.
behalf,
Oh, for
because we
sure.
have to have the information, or in this case, CEDACOG will have to have the information accurately and with a very short period of time in order to be able to disperse funds.
Okay, thank you, Shannon.
And Commissioner, this is Maya. With regards to the ERAP program funds, please know that we have a meeting tomorrow with STEP, who we're going to partner with in order to administrate that grant. So we're still finding out information. I have a call on Thursday with the state on those funds to kind of outline what it's going to look like, but they're still trying to iron out what that's all going to be. But hopefully tomorrow, Rochelle Abbott will be on the call along with some of her colleagues, and hopefully you can get some of your answers, your questions answered.
Thank you. And the rental assistance program is, rental emergency assistance program is, where we'll receive between $7 to $8 million locally in the county. And those funds will go to help tenants, landlords with back rent, and also utilities, the utilities that have not been paid, which is crucial. Okay, thank you. I have a motion to accept the amendment on the professional service and administrative agreement with CEDACOG.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So carried.
The next item I have is to vote on the assignment acknowledgement agreement with T&E Enterprise of PA and BBLB. This is just strictly a housekeeping item. What's happening here is that the current owner of Julie's is selling the business and transferring all of its rights and ownership of that business over to BBLB.
Okay, we wish the new owners success, and we want to thank the previous owners for their years of being a tenant, and we wish them continued success in their endeavors as they move forward. And ask for a motion to accept a new agreement with LLC and BBLB.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All fair side?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
The next item I have is to vote on the purchase of a court bench with Pennsylvania Corrections Industries. It's in the amount of $10,467.35. This is a 2021 budgeted item for the J. Solomon build project, and this particular vendor is on state contract.
Any questions or comments on this?
Maya, what happens to the bench in his old courtroom that we're moving out?
Well, from what I understand, and Kenny would have to speak more to this, but from what I understand, it's not going to work.
Okay, all right. Well, it may not work. Yeah, it's a different size courtroom and the whole.
Right, it's a different. Right, exactly.
Okay.
And that gavel
Well,
over
it'll
there
be there
that
for
we've
40 or
never
50
used.
years, so.
We're going to save the cost on that gavel by giving it to him.
Okay, this is also a budgeted item.
That's correct.
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept?
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, so carried.
The next item is also for the NDJ Solomon build. Again, a 2021 budgeted item. It's for the purchase of materials for doors and door frames with leather lumber. It's in the amount of $17,460. And again, this vendor is on state contract as well.
Okay.
And is Ken George on the phone? Okay, I sent him an email today. I noticed on the bill, the exterior door, and I couldn't see the size, or I didn't understand. I'm just going to bring this up. That is it bigger than a 3-foot door? And I say that because with the devices people use to get around today, it's probably pushing 3 foot, if not more, at times, and I don't want to make a mistake by not having an adequate size. So
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I just don't see it on the paperwork, so I'd like that clarified before.
Sure, but I can tell you that they all meet ADA requirements based on current zoning requirements.
Okay, and that includes, I mean, ADA from a bathroom perspective and the door requirements?
Yep.
Okay, very good.
It's just not like buying a normal door for your house. There are doors that have to be ADA compliant. They have to be, some of the doors have panic bars. This is a secured building. It's a courtroom. So the doors are different types of doors, and that's the reason for the cost. Can I have a motion to accept?
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Maya. Have a good day.
You too.
Jason, are you on the line?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 7.5, 7.6.
Commissioners, good morning.
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 Before you first purchase, this is a 2021 budgeted item, the rebuild of the conveyor frame, chute, incline system all around the conveyor system at the transfer station. We did go out to bid. We had pre-bid meeting. We opened the bids. We only received one bid. That was from Green Machine in the amount of $225,270. We did review the bid. Our engineers reviewed the bid. The bid is fully compliant. Looks like it'll deliver everything we need in that package. I stress the importance of accepting this and moving forward, and the fact that the transfer station had another record year in tons last year. We took in over 35,000 tons at the transfer station, so we can't afford mechanical failure without having something coming back in place of it, because right now the impact zone where the belt is completely disintegrated. The bushings are all gone on the conveyor wheels, and the subframe is also disintegrating. So I highly recommend the approval of this. We are budgeted for it. We have the funds.
Okay.
Mr. York, how old is that existing belt, conveyor belt?
Well, sir, the existing belt itself is 8 years. It's the subframe, the motor, the drive, and all the other workings and some of the concrete work around it is approximately 20 years. The subframe we did not replace last time, and it's in dire need as well.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. And what is the lifespan of a belt and the overall system?
Well, Commissioner, I mean, we try to keep the concrete steps and stuff like that off of it in hopes that it'll last a lot longer, but routinely we're going to probably see that metal belt itself last another probably 8 to 10 years. Unfortunately, the impact side of it, side nearest where you park your vehicles and back up to, we call that the impact area. That area is the area where we try to replace the bushing stuff as often as we can. The subframe, the last subframe got us 20 years. So I would only hope that the same for the next one.
Okay. And I know we're having conversations with Penn College about an adjacent parcel there. If we did expand the facility within 2 to 3 years, say, how would this change this decision?
Well, Commissioner, the biggest thing if we expanded the facility would be first and foremost separate the public from the commercial haulers. And then secondly, get all the traffic off of 3rd Street. But that particular loading system we would probably keep for some time for the haulers. It's fairly efficient. It's the transferring of the truck that slows down. So the ground, if anything changes, it would be to separate the public, the general residential public from the commercial haulers for safety purposes.
And would we need another belt system like this?
We would look at that. We would evaluate. I would caution us doing anything with the public that would give the opportunity to fall into a pit. We would probably look at some other kind of a self-dump system Not sure, given the elevations and stuff there, what we would work with. That would be something we would work through engineering with.
And has that happened, the public fallen into the pit?
Yes, sir. We've had commercial and residential folks fall into the conveyor, the pit. We've had vehicles back up over into it. It is an area of concern.
Yeah, I never did, but it was close, so. All right, thanks, Jason.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, so carried.
Commissioners, the next item is also with Green Machine. We had, last year too, we've identified one of the issues we're having in the single stream was the milk jugs and containers, being three-dimensional, do not go up the rubber belt inclines as well as they should. And also one of the things is when we bale the material, we're not getting all the air out. So this purchase that I have before you for Green Machine is to purchase and install a perforator in the amount of $85,450. A perforator is a device with two roller wheels, the spikes, where the material will go through the spikes. It'll get holes pushed into it. It'll get flattened. The material will then go up the inclines and go through the green eyes much more efficiently. And then when it gets into the baler will not have to struggle as hard to push out the air, and we'll get a tighter bale and actually an increased tonnage per bale.
Okay, Jason, I notice this is not a budgeted item, so how do you propose it'll be paid for?
Well, sir, that's the beauty is we came way under budget on the conveyor system of the transfer station of 225. We had 400,000 budgeted for the conveyor. We were approved and budgeted for 2020. I thought it got rolled over and it did not, but we do have the funds to make the purchase.
Okay.
And just so that the public has an idea of the amount of recycling that goes through that MRF, is if you took a look at Market Square, corner to corner, you'd probably fill that up maybe 10 feet high. How many times a day? Twice?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're talking an extreme amount of recycling, and if we can pack 10% more into our bundle, it cuts costs down for us, but it also yields more profit. So the $85,000 price tag seems like a lot, but what it does in as far as increasing our profits is it pays for itself and above. So, and thanks for explaining that to me, because visualizations, you just don't understand it until you can compare it to something.
And Mr. York, these are all coming out of the revenues of the landfill, not the property taxes, right?
Correct, sir. There's not a single penny for RMS that comes out of the taxpayer. This is all through revenues, through recycling, transfer station, and the landfill scales.
You sound like you have a cold.
Yes, sir, and then some.
Sorry to hear that.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So carried. Jason, I have a question regarding recycling since we're talking about this. As the public knows, we've reconfigured our recycling containers. The cardboard containers have a bar across them, so that people will have to break down the cardboard. That allows more to be packed into that container. Therefore, the trucks don't have to go out quite as often, which reduces wear and tear on the vehicles and saves thousands of dollars actually. Just eliminating the 6 recycling sites that we did over the past year saved the county $50,000. But one concern I'm hearing, since you've reconfigured the other containers with the plastics and the tins, the opening on those containers is very small. and people are having to pull things out individually or 2 or 3 at a time to stick them in that small opening. And the concern is people are either going to not take those recyclable items to the sites, they're going to stick them in their garbage, they're going to throw them along the highways, or they're just going to dump them somewhere. Do you want to address the small openings, and if there's any way they can be made a little larger? I've got quite a bit of feedback about it over the last week.
Commissioner, controlling the openings of recycling boxes across the state has been something that other counties have utilized for a significant amount of time. Lycoming County had not. One of the biggest problems we were having is people, first off, are throwing in items that don't belong in the plastic drop-off containers. The opening side will allow everything that's currently out there. If it does not fit in that hole, it is probably considered a rigid plastic, like a kitchen set or a cat litter bucket. Items that we don't want anyways, that do need to go in the waste. The openings also makes you take the items out of the bag. Hopefully would give you the responsibility to not put in used cat litter, wet diapers, garbage, and the things that we are receiving. We are seeing a lot of misuse of the containers before we change the openings, and while we have the openings changed, people are putting in styrofoam. We do not take styrene. We need those openings to get the containers full. As you put the loose items in, you're more able to push the items and level out the boxes. Our drivers can get more items in that box. Again, going back to the perforator mentality, we are trying to get as much as we possibly can in each effort or each package that we deal with. But unfortunately, the openings need to be what they are, and they've been used throughout the state. Other counties already have changed openings for years. We've just, as a county, we've not had that, and it is something new to the public. I've also had a lot of feedback that it's the right thing to do, that people are making the effort for it. There probably will always be a portion of misuse. I'm not sure how to ever get that away, except for manning and staffing the drop-off sites. But it is an effort that we need to keep moving forward, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And I have to add, do we make a profit off recycling?
Sir, typically, given the markets, not lately, no.
Right, and so
it is a service that is covered under the landfill scale pricing, and we've covered the cost for it. Plus, we up until this year have been receiving grant funding through the Department of Environmental Protection, and hopefully we'll still continue to.
And as you heard Jason York state that the county taxpayers do not pay anything for this landfill. It's a business decision. You either try to cut your cost by implementing strategies to reduce them and bring up profit. Overall, we pull almost $2 million a year that they transfer to the county out of the recycling, and we need to let them do their job. Yes, we know that it's a pain to take them out of the bags, especially if it's raining or something like that. But when you abuse the system, then they have to take corrective action so that they're not getting that waste in there. Because every time a bundle is contaminated, we get less for the bundle. And it's thousands of dollars less. So hang in there and understand why we're doing it. It saves the life of the landfill.
And Jake, there have been times when recycling has been profitable, right? We just happen to be in a down market, right? Last
Correct.
years.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yeah. Moving on.
7.7 with Scott Conkle, voting on decommissioning agreement with Piatt Township.
Morning, Scott.
Actually, it's Jeff Hutchins.
Oh,
Thank
hi.
you for your comments earlier.
Yeah.
Commissioners, in front of you is an agreement actually from the county to the county in relation to the proposed communication tower going up on Hesker Hill Road in Piatt Township. Whereas the county acts as the zoning for Piatt Township, zoning regulations call for a bond to be issued if that tower is decommissioned to be removed. We did not feel it made sense for the county Department of Public Safety to waste money on a bond back to the county, just saying that, you know, we would take the tower down. So working with Shannon in planning, legal came up with this agreement that says basically that because we are both entities, should we abandon that tower, not renew our lease, that we are responsible to remove it. Additionally, that is noted in the lease with the landowner there. So we believe this agreement fulfills those requirements and will prevent us having to spend money on a bond, naming us in the bond.
So Jeff, could you explain something if you can? It
Yeah, I'll
says
try.
project to construct a 250-foot self-support communication. What does that mean? Wireless, or I mean, when I say wires, does it still have wires coming down? What is self-support? What does that mean?
Self-supporting means it's a three-legged tower. Obviously, it's with the soil studies, the ground studies, we determine the makeup of the ground, and then the engineers will tell us how large a cement pad and the distance it needs poured underground. And then the three-legged tower is actually bolted to that. It goes up in a triangular fashion, wide at the base. It narrows towards the top, and then maybe the top fourth to third of it actually is just a small triangle, goes straight up that. So self-supporting basically means it stands there on its own. It's not attached to a building, a water tower, anything like that. It's also not a guide tower. It's not a tower you'll see that's like a single pole with the three-dimensional wires running down that require a lot of maintenance and tightening. So it actually, it's triangle base and just stands there on its own.
And is this tower one that can be utilized to bring in revenue for the county or no?
Yes, that came up in the zoning hearing last week. Yes, the Department of Public Safety, although currently we have no commercial vendors on contract, it is something that we are absolutely interested in, and especially with that area. So yes, moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the agreement?
I'll move to accept it.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Thank you.
Thank
Jeff.
you.
7.8 Shannon Rossman, voting on work order number 3.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning again.
This is a budgeted item. The work order number 3 is to award a contract to Wood Environment for the design and engineering of the Memorial Avenue levee portion of the project. We have an EDA grant for this of $7 million. It's $5.6 million from the federal EDA, Economic Development. I can't remember what the A stands for. Administration, I think. It's an 80-20 grant, so 80% of the funding for this is coming from the federal government. This is to get in this portion around Memorial Avenue, we have to change the type of levee from an eye wall to a T-wall because surveys and the inspections have determined that it needs to be improved in the wall itself. It also needs to be raised somewhat. So we'll be working with PennDOT, we'll be working with the consultant, we'll be working with our staff and many others in the city, of course, to create a design that will work best for this area.
Okay.
We did do an RFP for this, and we had a large range of costs. This was right around in the middle. We had everything from I think it was 150,000 to 900 and some thousand. And we interviewed the 3 best firms, and it just so happened that Wood was the lowest cost of those 3 best firms.
You know, after reading the credentials, it's amazing, $1.2 some billion. But I do have a couple questions. Some may be petty, some may not be. But the cross pipes, and they're talking about that on, you know, the 3.0 project, understanding. So, when they were inspected X amount of years ago, and now the job is ready to come to fruition, will there be another inspection of all of them again?
I believe
Of the ones that may be
every
questioned?
single piece of the levee is required to be inspected every so often. So even if something was inspected 5 years ago, it needs to be inspected again. And there are continually inspection requirements that are required by the Army Corps of Engineers.
But I guess my concern is if it was passing 3 years ago.
It may not pass today.
Right.
Correct.
There's my question, because when you have everything there,
Yes.
you know, you don't have any more setups. If something's.
Which is why if they see something wrong, they'll point it out and let everybody know.
And that could,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, anything could change. It's one of the reasons why we had an issue with the relief wells, because in certain areas, an inspection hasn't been done in so long and they're not sure what it looks like. So that's why we're going to rebid that with additional information. But in this instance, if they see something wrong, they will let us know, and we will have to act accordingly.
Okay. Under the survey assumptions and restrictions, and survey bridge walls and abutments will not include models of the bridge or the bridge deck. Here's my question. If a problem arises, and there again, I don't know how close they are to the bridges or the abutments, that their work could cause damage. I don't know if it could or not. I'm just
In this
questioning
instance, I do not believe, we'll be working with PennDOT very closely on this, because we'll be required to get permits and for this work. I believe in the Memorial Avenue situation, that we're not changing anything with the bridge, except for we will be raising the levee walls in that situation. I can't say 100% for sure, but I know we're not changing anything at all with the bridge deck itself. And Dewey Avenue will be totally different. That will be much more involved because of the height issues. But with Memorial Avenue, it's a lot more straightforward.
Okay, I looked at their insurances and things like that seemed adequate, but if there's damage that's not caused,
Anything,
caused by them.
yeah,
Okay.
Maya's very good at making sure they have all of their requirements in here in case something were to happen.
Okay, will there be any county involvement in the inspection process? Or is that all Woods?
Wood, and depending upon who we have, do the construction inspection. That I believe, I'm not sure if we're having Wood do the construction inspection when that RFP comes around, or if we're actually going to have a third party do that, so that we can make sure that everybody is doing what they need to do.
And the additional survey services not included? Easement surveys, additional survey, or the SUE services beyond the scope of the construction stakeout services as building service?
We don't think we're going to need any easements because of it being a T-wall. If we had decided to do the suggestion of one of the consultants, which was to go to more of an earthen levee in that area, we would have actually had to get easements and even possibly acquire property. And there is a road access issue with that part. So there would have been some additional items we would have had to do.
This is maybe petty, may not be, I don't know, when it talks about fees and permits and things. The one section as part of the design plan preparation, pay government agencies review for filing the fees.
Right.
Based on the rate schedule provided, permit submission fees based on available rates included will be paid by Wood at the time of the plan submission as an expense, with a 7% markup on that percentage. Now, so how much do you think these fees will come to? Because 7% could be a lot of money. And it does, and I mean, and they're charging us
Right.
certain things. So
Well,
are they
they're
double dipping in that charge?
I'm not sure if they're double dipping or if it's because they're preparing all those documents too. So, trying to think here.
Well, could you
Yeah.
call them and ask them that? And this, the standard engineering estimate, was for, $428,499.80. And then, there's another fee on there. Project construction supervision, indicated project duration and frequency of the visits below is $69,497, which is a total of $497,996.80. Now my question is this. I've been in the construction business for a while, and we look at the overall project and say if it was in our case, anything around the $100,000 range, we always found out that we probably needed a 5% contingency. That we would find things in that job that we didn't know.
Well, this is the design,
Yes,
so it's not the construction.
I understand that.
Okay.
But they do state that there could be additional cost if they're needed.
Yeah.
And are there guidelines, general guidelines that they could say, well, county, you could expect possibly a 3% or no?
I because it's all based upon the inspections and when they come in and do those actual inspections and do their final, this is exactly what's here, this is exactly what we need to do. Some of that could come from PennDOT, some could come from the Army Corps of Engineers. So it would be really difficult to determine, oh, well, we're gonna have a 3% upcharge probably, or we're gonna have a 5%, or we're gonna, hopefully in this situation, because of the fact that they are a little more familiar with the project since they've been doing some of the other items for the city in the past and South Williamsport in the past, that in this instance, they're pretty good. We haven't seen an issue with previously being but there's always, as you know, the potential for something coming up.
I guess my last question is, and I'm not sure if I pronounced this right because I'm not the attorney. The attorney, I'm sure, will help me out. The force majeure?
I'm not an attorney either.
Are you still on? David?
Well, to solicit the question, what is force majeure?
Yes. Well, I see it here, okay, but I just wanted to know if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Force majeure, it's French.
Okay.
Essentially, it is a provision and a standard provision in contracts, particularly construction contracts, that allows the vendor, if you will, extra time or remedies or protection from a breach of contract based on extraordinary events, acts of God, acts of war, strikes, etc. So it wouldn't excuse an ordinary performance deficiency or delay, but, for example, a pandemic could qualify depending on what the particular force majeure provision says.
Okay. So here's my question. We live in a mountainous area, and we're seeing microbursts here and there, and we never know where the next flood is going to be or when it's going to be. And as they're doing this project, are there any dangers with a flash flood that could cause damage beyond the wall in the city? And should we be insuring ourselves, and can we insure ourselves in case that were to happen?
I know that we've just, Gaz Matloff, one of the engineers that I work with this, I know that we've talked about trying to make sure that as many precautions are put in place when we do get the construction company in here to do the actual work. Because we're fixing a levee, it's holding back waters during certain times of the year, as, you know, what could be in the wintertime with an ice jam, it could be the summertime, could be any time of year. So that is a consideration. I do not know, I think the Army Corps has certain things where if we identify an issue within a certain time frame, that they help with the repairs. I'm not sure about the actual people behind the flood wall. I think that would be their insurance, but we will find out and get an answer for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, so carried.
Can I just comment here? You can tell from Commissioner Macero's questions, this is a very complicated project. The document is very thick, and this is only the engineering portion. We still got to get to the construction. So, and this is only one part of the levee, so it'll be an ongoing saga for multiple commissioner boards down the road.
And in that agreement, and you'll see it mentions about future maintenance. And we're discussing right now, and I'm sure your department is discussing right now, how do we fund this in the future?
And that's the operational strategy that we have hired Wood to complete in conjunction with the Williamsport and South Williamsport, because what they're going to do is they're going to go through and put a very specific document together to talk about all the different operational and maintenance strategies that need to occur on the levee, and give the municipalities an idea and the county an idea of what those costs are, and give them suggestions on how to raise funds, and also what they need to put in their budgets for that continue. Because the Army Corps has been working very, very well with us because of certain parts of the levee have not been updated or replaced since it was built in the late 40s, early 50s. So what they've been doing is, as long as they see progress, they're continuing to work with us. And we have made a lot of progress. We haven't moved into a lot of the construction yet, but we've made a lot of progress in getting funding. And once we get things up to par, then it's going to be, what is it to maintain it and keep it up to par?
And the public should be aware, you know, sometimes you set up authorities to buffer against county,
Right.
so we don't get involved.
Right.
But this Board of Commissioners is always going to get involved.
This is a regional issue.
Right, and it's a regional issue. And as you look at the Sunbury project, and that, I think that was an authority that they set up. And I believe that the entire community or communities paid for the maintenance of this. And I'm not sure if it's county-wide, but
In
those are
Sunbury,
things.
it's the communities
It's
that
just
are
the
protected.
That are protected.
But in a number of cases, it can be countywide. It depends upon how the funds are used. Some counties have authorities set up so that, like, you know, if you have a percentage fee from a tax that comes in, so much goes towards this project, so much goes toward that project, and they're based upon, okay, flooding issues or X issues. And so you have X amount, just like a budget, X amount goes to this project to help maintain this, X amount goes to that project to help maintain this or improve this. And so we will be looking at some of those options during the operational strategy. We're not going to be able to take it, because of the time frame, it has to be done by July. What we're doing right now is looking at what they currently have and how to move forward with what's current. Right now, the City of Williamsport works very closely with the Williamsport Municipal Authority for the water and sewer, and also now the stormwater, because they're going to be maintaining the stormwater systems. water, sewer, and stormwater all work with the levy here because we do have a combined system. We do have a lot of issues. South Williamsport, I guess, works very closely with the Lycoming County Authority. So we'll be working with those entities right now to talk about how to keep moving forward with the operational and maintenance. But we do intend to continue that discussion further on what is is there a more regional solution that would be beneficial, or how can we continue this in the future? Because we also have the Loyalsock levy too, the Bull Run levy. So it's not just South Williamsport. The Williamsport levy does go into Loyalsock, but then Loyalsock has a levy. Thankfully, it's still up to par, but that's going to require some maintenance in the future also. So we really do, we have Lashy Run in Jersey Shore, we have Muncie in, we have a number of issues that we need to work on, and maybe there is a more holistic solution that would help the region overall, rather than just.
And when you, and this is my final comment, and it has to do with what Todd was talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
As you set up an authority or authorities that exist, they can tax, they can charge fees that the elected officials have nothing to do with. And I think it's important that when you're setting up a new authority, that you're taking that responsibility away from elected officials. And as you can see, when it is in the hands of government, it's very transparent.
Right.
If something goes wrong, it's voted on in public meetings.
Right.
And so the public can be well informed about bad decisions or mistakes. But when it's and we still charge you a tax.
Yeah.
But when it's in the hands of an authority, it's a board. It's something, and you're removed from them.
Right.
Although they can cost you a tremendous amount of money.
Right. You have to be very careful.
Commissioner, one of the challenges is that if we want organizations like the nonprofit, large institutions that are not subject to the property tax to participate in funding the maintenance and upkeep of the levy in the future, we can't do it through the property tax mechanism. This is sort of one of the challenges, because we could say, okay, we'll take a $250,000 and we'll put the $250,000 towards the operation and maintenance of the levy so that it's countywide. But doing that, then all these institutions that, some are large, some are small, I get that, but they still get the benefit of the levy, and they service people from all over, right? I mean, UPMC or Geisinger, they're not subject to taxation on their nonprofit properties, and they have patients come from all over, the county. And we want to protect them from the levy. So it may be, and we have to look at this and have a discussion about it, but it may be that rather than setting up a whole new organization, we do something with the existing entities that also have the capability to take care of the levy. And also, like Cumming Water and Sewer Authority, we appoint the members of the board. So theoretically, we have some influence that way. And the city appoints the mayor appoints the Water Authority and sewer. So I don't know, it's just a thought. We'll have to go and see how much the cost is, but that's sort of the paradox we're in. We want to have some fair and equitable way to raise revenue to do this.
Well, Commissioner, it's a regional problem. It's something that we're moving towards. The levy project's going to be a progress and work for years to come. So we have lots of discussions to have in the future. So with that said, let's move on to action item 7.9.
Okay, this is also not necessarily a budget item, but this is not coming from the county budget. The Williamsport Municipal Water Authority had requested help with their overtime during COVID. And we had another entity, a nonprofit entity, that was not, because they received other additional COVID funds, they were not able to utilize their entire county award. So the cost that the amount that they were not allowed to use was $31,938. Mr. Miller from the authority had contacted us and asked if we could help because of the COVID overtime. They had seen a huge increase. They also saw a lot of lost revenue. Unfortunately, COVID doesn't cover that. but we are allowed to help support local government, which the authority is considered part of that. So we're making a recommendation to use the money that was going to the nonprofit that they're not able to utilize to the Williamsport Municipal Authority. They will have to provide us with the correct documentation, just like any other body, and as soon as they do, then we'd be able to come to you with the approval for the check. This is just for their agreement.
Yes, any comments or questions?
No. All in favor of this?
Yeah. Have a motion?
I move to approve.
Now, second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Have a good day.
You too.
7.10, Tom Heap, voting on master agreement with Telesoft Incorporated.
Morning, Tom.
Morning, Commissioners. I'll speak to both agenda items that I have today just to, for the sake of clarity. The master agreement itself with the county and Telesoft is specifically the relationship between Telesoft and the county. Currently, they have contracts in the sheriff's office, R&R, the courts. So this covers everything, our relationship that's going to include support and maintenance and warranty. The addendum A, which is the second item on there, actually is a project in our office to replace our civil court docketing system and eliminate the full court system that's currently in there, and also what we call OnBase is the document management, combine them into one software. It's broken up into 5 phases. First phase being the installation into our office, the conversion. Second phase being the sheriff's integration in order for us to communicate electronically with writs and such that go between our office and the sheriff's. The court integration with AOPC and their statistics that they need and their scheduling. That'll be the third phase. Electronic filing, which is important in this community. One of the platforms that I ran on here was to get electronic filing on the civil side. Happy to report on March 29th, we're done with the criminal side. Electronic filing will be opened up completely, which has caused some other issues, but the electronic services on the civil side to file civil documents will be part of the part of the project. And the communication between the clerk of court's office and the prothonotari's office would be the final phase. That includes all the judgments that come over. We're currently doing by hand to be electronically fed. So the project, I would anticipate, I guess it would be a good thing is that currently we have no financial means to track receipting and such in our system. I do it all by hand. This incorporates that and allows it to do that. Hopefully, since we don't have to make that conversion with the accounting, it should speed the project up and hopefully have it up and running completely by the end of October. That's the goal. I have asked Telesoft to break down the payments in the sense that upon execution of the agreement today, it's a 50% down payment. That kicks it off, gets the project running. And as each project phase is complete, the other 50% is spread out. So it's a 10% for the sheriff, 10% for court integration. So we don't pay until they're finalized with that project. So that gives them a little bit of incentive and more focus on it.
So streamlines everything, makes it much more efficient.
Yes, it just so happens, and this I've been in the office for 14 months, and I did my due diligence and look at everything that's across the state that's available. This does the job for us, and it certainly does communication with the courts itself, which they're pleased about, and so with the sheriff's department, just and as I mentioned, that electronic filing is not always a good thing. And the difficulty is we're running into now is that we're about to turn on the public defender's office and the district attorney's office to file actions from their desk. We already have juvenile doing it, we have adult probation doing it, and children and youth. The difficulty is to who makes the copies and who does the distribution of those documents. And my staff is overloaded. So we're having difficulty doing that right now. I don't know what the DA's office and the PD's office with that distribution is. It's gonna cause some issues.
Okay.
So, just a forewarning.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay. Do you want us to take both motions at the same time and vote on them, or separate?
It's, the master agreement is just a relationship, the project itself, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
They're two different contracts, so.
I move to approve 7.10 and 7.11.
Okay, great.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Tom, thanks for all your hard work on getting the office up to speed. Really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good to see the relationship with the Pathonetie's office and the courts going in the right direction.
When you look at the contract and all the things that we're going to be able to do electronically now, it's great.
Okay, thank you.
7.12 with Director McDermott, voting on resolution with the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania.
Director?
Commissioners, Matt McDermott, Director of Administration, seeking your approval on Resolution 2021-05, resolution of the County of Lycoming authorizing participation in a pilot project to study and develop recommendations to address EMS concerns in the county. Would you like me to read the whole resolution?
No, it's not necessary.
Important to note that this is a pilot program in conjunction with Tioga, Lycoming, and Sullivan to take a look at EMS, the challenges that we're all experiencing, and provide recommendations. It's sponsored through CCAP, so certainly something that we definitely want to look into.
Okay.
I'd like to state that the commissioners had a seat at the table in the task force developed maybe a little over 2 years ago. And it was called EMS in Crisis. And if you saw what was happening around the country, but in more specific in Pennsylvania, we were in crisis, and we still are. We, as far as Lycoming County, I'd say we're in better shape than most, but still, it's a crisis. And last year, by this task force, we had our legislators, state and House, really put some bills together that helped the EMS. And we were also pushing for more surveys and a better understanding. And there were a couple, like SR6 was developed, but they found the issues, but there was no resolutions and no solutions. And that's why the task force was put together, and to start finding the solutions. And we were very fortunate that the state only wanted 2 counties to be involved. And because of our EMS, the TLS, Tioga, Lycoming, and Sullivan cooperative agreements, we're very fortunate to have the state come in and evaluate. And they will also help in many other ways. I'm sure, Jeff, if you're still on the phone, you could probably validate the concern. But this is a movement in the right direction. We hope that we do find the solutions, and we're quite confident we will.
Okay. We did have a seat at the table because Commissioner Massar sat on that task force with CCAP. We want to thank you for your extra time and dedication to this very needed concern of, this was actually one of the top 5 priorities of the state. They saw that this is a major crisis in the state of Pennsylvania, EMS services and fire services, and so it's good to see it being addressed.
And I don't know if this was said, but thank you, Commissioner Nasser, for your service on going down to those meetings and stuff. You're on that task force. So
well, you're welcome, but I do get paid for it.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the resolution?
I'll accept it. I'll move to accept it.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. So carried. Thank you.
7.13 through 7.16 is Brandon Ball. Brandon, are you on the line?
Hi, good morning. Yes, I'm on the line. I believe I'm 7.13 through 7.15.
Yeah, we have four subrecipients agreements with the different entities throughout the county.
Correct. I was under the impression that only 3 made it onto the agenda. I apologize.
No, I emailed you yesterday afternoon and told you that it would be going on.
Correct. I assumed you had met the following weekly meeting.
No.
Anywho, so we are looking for action to fully execute several subrecipient agreements for the 2020 FAIR funding. Just a quick background for those who may not be familiar with the FAIR program. FAIR is PHARE, and it stands for Pennsylvania Housing Affordability and Rehabilitation Enhancement. It is a statewide fund that provides for the creation, rehab, and support of affordable housing units in PA. The fund is generated through Marcellus Shale natural gas extracted within the county. The program is administered by PHFA, aka the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Authority, and it has been around since 2010. As far as 7.13, we're looking to execute the agreement for STEP Inc. To utilize FAIR funds to support their Homes in Need program. This program provides much needed home repairs to qualified households throughout the county. Eligible homeowners may receive repairs such as code compliance, accessibility improvements, and weatherization. This contract, as well as the following 3 contracts, are all going to be backdated to August 13th, 2020, which seems like far away from where we are currently. The reason for that, Commissioners, the state conducted a program-wide audit during the winter months, which backed up the contract execution process by several months. So that is why we are just now looking for action on it today. So that's all I have for 7.13. If you'd like me to just run through the other
Just
3.
run through the other ones, and all these grants are for a 2-year term. They'll go to August 13th of 2020.
Correct.
Okay. Go through them all and we'll vote them on them as a whole.
Sure, absolutely. So also looking to execute the agreement for another one of STEP's programs, their supportive housing program, which provides assistance for housing-related services and help individuals and families succeed in finding and securing housing. It assists county residents in danger of eviction. And then American Rescue Workers.
Excuse me, Brandon, that one's in the amount of $245,000.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And then also looking for signatures on the agreement for American Rescue Workers for their rental assistance program. That one is in the amount of $100,000. And that program helps families in need of rental assistance. They need to present an eviction notice to be considered, and they're responsible for a portion of their rental payment. And case management is also provided. The last program which we're looking for action on is STEP's Homes in Need or Urgent Need program, which is similar to the Homes in Need, except for it is more geared towards individuals facing more dire circumstances. And that is all I have on those amounts.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I do have a comment. I don't believe the general public understands the importance of STEP, the American Rescue Workers, and how they touch the lives of so many people in our community. These sound like a lot of money, but it's really not. But they do a tremendous job in allocating those funds, and I don't know where we'd be without those organizations in our community, and I want to thank them very much.
I serve on the STEP board as a representative for the commissioners, and the work they do in the community is absolutely tremendous. From housing through the seniors to different agencies they assist. It is transportation. It's amazing what they do for our community.
I move to approve 7.3 through 7.16.
Okay.
I'll second that and second all your comments about these organizations. You're absolutely right.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
7.17, Jerry Kennedy, voting on agreement with Legal Edge Software. Jerry, are you on the line?
I am.
Morning, Jerry.
Morning. Commissioners, the Public Defender's Office and Information Services conducted a survey of several counties across the state as to what their public defender's offices were using as a case management system. We've reviewed 3 available products and settled on the vendor before us at a cost of a first-year cost of $16,100. The ongoing operational cost after this will be $5,900 annually, and this is in the Public Defender's 2021 budget.
Hey, Jerry, can you state your name and your title for everyone?
Jerry Kennedy, the Director of IT.
Okay, thank you. And you state this is a budget item?
Yes.
Okay, great. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so
Aye.
carried. Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
And 7.18, Director McDermott again, voting on contract with Vitality.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Matt McDermott, Director of Administration. Seeking your approval on the contract with Vitality. Vitality is going to be the next step in building our wellness program, its effectiveness, to be able to expand Lycoming County's employees' involvement with their individual health. This is a designated wellness strategy that utilizes a points-based incentive structure to encourage its members' engagement. So through engagement, it means participating in the engagement activities of the program to keep them involved in their individual.
Okay.
The program comes with a cost of $5.45 per employee per month.
Okay. It's important to have a wellness program. The county has had one now for, I believe, 2 years. This is their 3rd year. This one's a little bit more advanced because it focuses even more on pre-diabetes and musculoskeletal. And so we encourage our employees to take part of this because it helps identify things before it gets serious. And everyone wants to be healthy. We want our employees to be healthy so they live a long and good life, and so their families have the opportunity to enjoy them. And it's vital that we have a program there. I can think of one individual who participated last year into it. He identified that he was pre-diabetic. He ended up losing about 30 pounds. I think he's actually lost 50 now and feels much better health, and is not in the diabetic range anymore. So he's addressed his concerns early before he found out that he may have someday had diabetes, and it had been a lot harder road for him.
And where health insurance is such a huge part of our budget, this is critical because the situation you just described, that's one less person who's going to develop further complications, which will, increase the cost of our health care. So where we budget about $14 million.
Yeah, it's between 13 and 14 million. 13
to 14 million. Yeah. We have a real incentive to try to keep our costs down.
And throughout the nation, public and private sector organizations are seeing an incredible savings because of wellness programs. So I urge the small businesses, such as mine, very small, that you consider wellness programs. I know our insurance increased 29% when one of my employees developed cancer. It's unaffordable. It's unsustainable. And if you have wellness programs, you start to, maybe not right away, but as the employees start to utilize it and understand it and see you can get nutritional guidance. There's so many things on Vitality. I'm very impressed with it. But for the smaller companies, this is critical. Wellness is critical, and we have to change our habits. We have to change our ways, and this is one of the ways we do to combat the rising cost of healthcare.
Okay, thank you. A motion to accept?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So carried.
Commissioner comment?
The only thing I have is yesterday we had the opportunity to meet with one of the leaders of Great Star, which is the corporation that purchased Shopvac. It was an excellent meeting. They were excited to be here. They're excited to be in our community. They're looking forward to having Shopvac grow as they rehire back some of their workforce and they reacquire their customers. They look forward to a long and lasting relationship. They have no intentions of leaving the area. They've already invested money, a great deal of money here, and it was great to meet them firsthand, and everything positive that came out of that meeting, was positive. So we're very excited about having them here and growing to the company that they once were. It's going to take a little bit of time, but there's no doubt in my mind that they can do that.
And just to follow up on that, the rumors that went through the community are really not correct, and I think that's what the commissioner was referring to when he said that there's no intention of leaving. And so we would, encourage people who either worked there before or were interested in getting a job to go down and apply. I see there was some negative information out on Facebook that was not based in any sort of factual representation. So, if you have questions, you can call us, but it was definitely a leader of the organization that met with us who said that the company's track record in other places has been to try to expand and grow.
And also we continue to work with the Airport Authority and the state officials. We were on 2 calls last week with Senator Toomey's office and Senator Casey's office about the way we want to move forward with the airport. And so hopefully we'll have some good news on that in the near future.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that. I do have a couple of comments.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to thank Senator Yaw for always being in these meetings as far as this airport authority. He's backing us. I was very disappointed in the Republican senator, and it makes you wonder why sometimes we pay these people. They represent us.
You don't mean Senator Yaw. You don't mean Senator Yaw.
No. The other senator. I thank Senator Yaw. I'm sorry. I thought I did say Toomey's. Where we just asked for a letter of support, and they denied us because we don't do that. We're all in this together, and I don't care if you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. Certain things need to meet the needs of your constituents. And when you can easily say, well, we just don't do that, we need somebody to be replaced. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Very disappointed in that comment. And I'd say it if it was on the other side as well.
Yes. Go ahead.
But it does make you wonder.
Yeah, I want to address that.
Okay. It does make you wonder about campaign finance reform. Because it seems to me that if you're going to run for a state Senate seat, it takes $1 million. Or you need to be beholden to people that are willing to invest in your campaign. This is ridiculous. These people are the furthest removed from what our public goes through. I wonder if they look at a person as they're pumping their gas and they're filling it up and it's now, it's going up, oh my God, 35, 40 cents now. If they're looking to see the people pumping, if they're putting $5 or $10 in, That's what's happening here. We live in a community that's, we're below the median income, state median income. And as the more wealthier these candidates are, the more they're removed. They don't understand, they don't feel it, they don't have the pulse. And here we're supporting this, okay? We need campaign finance reform. Well, you go ahead, Commissioner.
I just want to address about the airport. We had asked them point blank on the phone, the aide for the Senator Toomey's office. I had asked him, he wanted to know what we needed. And I said, we're basically moving forward, looking for another direction. We have matching dollars, we have monies from the county that we can go in that direction, but we do need the letter of support. And their response was, well, the center has philosophical differences about going and doing those letters of support. It's unfortunate that he feels that way because he works for us. He doesn't work for just a certain part of the state. He works for the entire state. He works for the central Pennsylvania. You know, this airport serves 500,000 people. It's a regional airport. It serves 2 major medical facilities, one being the largest in the state of Pennsylvania. It serves 7 universities. If you look on the university websites, this is their primary air service that they list. We explained that to them, and it was just very disappointing to hear the response from his aide. We hope that the senator has a change of heart and that he does do this letter of support for us because we need that federal support. We need those legislators, those senators to go to those big players when it comes to these grants and say, listen, this is needed, and it's needed in their area, and it's vital for their entire infrastructure.
So if I can just clarify for a minute, by the way, you guys finish? I was going to make a comment.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I also want to thank Senator Yaw and the work that the Center for Rural PA did on trying to highlight the problem in rural America for air service. By having the hearings at the Center for Rural PA, Senator Yaw has been able to really get some certainly statewide press and I think some national attention to the problem we face. So I want to thank him for that. I think just to clarify for Senator Toomey, what happened is we're applying for a grant to basically, when new airlines come in, they say, hey, look, we'll go there, but if we don't have enough service, we want you to help pay the cost to offset that. And we're applying for a grant from the federal government for about, I don't know, $900,000, I think. And so we had asked them for a letter of support on that grant. And the grant, as Commissioner Metzger and Macer said, is very important. What happened is that I guess other airports had also asked him for letters of support, and he hadn't written for anybody because he philosophically, I guess, doesn't believe that the government should be using tax dollars to support air service in communities, that it shouldn't be intervening in the market. And I don't want to speak for him, but just to help explain and so people understand. So, you know, he doesn't believe that we should interfere in the free market, I guess, that way. So the problem is that we will never be able to get air service in rural communities unless we do something. We either change the legislation and require airlines to service us, and, you know, many of us say, well, should we really force a business to be somewhere that's not profitable? On the other hand, do we take federal tax dollars and prop up service in rural communities? Maybe we do. You know, that's what the grant program does. Or maybe we say, listen, if you want to take $6 or $7 billion in, you know, billions of dollars in federal aid to get through the pandemic, then you know what? When times are good and you're making lots of money, you need to turn around and service our rural communities. Because at the end of the day, as Commissioner Metzger mentioned, all the economic development that goes on as a result of air service is critical to our future, and so that's what he and I think Commissioner Metzger has put it a good way. We hope he has a change of heart. We recognize that he didn't do them for others. There's no harm in saying, hey, you know what, maybe I should have been doing them all along. But that's just to sort of clarify his position. I know Senator Casey is writing a letter of support, and we're certainly going to get support from Representative Keller and our other representatives in Washington.
Okay, any other public, or any other commissioners' comment at this time? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
When you're looking at, in November, a barrel of oil was like $36. It's now $63, okay? So policies do have an effect on our pocketbook locally. And when you look at it, in yesterday's front page news was registration fees, fuel tax eyed for increases as state struggles to find funds in its highways and bridges. And just several years ago, which was probably within 3 years, I'm thinking, Act 89 was passed, and Act 89 was a gasoline tax. And it could go up to 28 cents, 30 cents, that the state would tax at the pump, okay? Obviously, Pennsylvania is the second highest taxed gasoline in the nation, behind California. When I saw and read this article, I thought about that tax. And we were, as a board, not that we need to endorse anybody, but we endorsed that act because it was for infrastructure, it was for roads, it was for bridges. So of course we know that there's a problem. We experience it here in our own county, let alone in major metropolitan areas. That's what it was for. But the very next year they took out $800 million and gave it to the state police. And now they say, oh, well, we shouldn't do that, so we'll scale it down, and in a few more years it'll be down to $500 million. Shame on them. This is, to look at this, to start charging us more fees or taxing this gasoline affects every person in our community. And they want to tax it more and use it for other things. This is ridiculous. We need, if you're going to propose a bill, then it should go into an account and it stays in that account. It can't be robbed, it can't be taken, it can't be like the landfill, taking those materials, the recycling materials. And what did they take from that? Millions. 50 million.
50 million.
50 million.
Yep.
And now Lycoming County is going to have to find a way of recovering that. This is just another example of bad government.
The coronavirus monies that came to the state from the federal government, the governor kept $1 billion back with the intentions he was going to give it to the other counties at the end of the year. That did not happen. It got used to pass and try to help balance the budget. That whole $1 billion went towards that. That was not the intent of it.
Listen, I don't have any agenda. I never have. I don't care to move on. I'm retiring after this term. Okay, but the people need to be aware of what's going on in not only the state but in this country. Okay, and you better join together, all parties. And this is not about parties. This is about our nation and our people. And we better start to react accordingly, because we certainly aren't.
Okay, public comment this time?
Oh, wait, Mr. Chairman, one quick
Oh, I'm sorry.
comment. The Board of Assessment and Appeals has an opening.
Yes,
And I don't know what...
we had advertised that last week,
Yeah.
but we'll advertise it again. Anybody who's interested in applying for the position for Boards of Assessment and Appeals, please go online and you can fill out an application. We'll be glad to look at it. But as we value these board members for all our boards, we need people in the community to step up, and please, if you're interested, please contact us. Okay.
In particular, we're hoping the paper will put a little blurb in there, because I don't think they covered it last week.
Yeah, they're here. Okay. Please step up to the mic. state your name for the record and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
John Shireman, Lycoming County resident. First of all, I would really like to come out and say a big thank you for Geisinger, Jersey Shore, as to what they're doing for giving the community the coronavirus shots. I do know that it's a Friday, and one day they had given over 500 shots. My wife and I have completed gotten both of our immunization shots for the coronavirus. We received the Moderna vaccine. They run a very clean operation up there, well and efficient. And I think they put UPMC to shame in the community, but that's neither here nor there. I would like to see all the county commissioner meetings, audio recordings made of the meetings completely. And those recordings dated and archived and be available to the public and so on when asked. We already have video streaming of the committee of the meetings, and the audio recordings will only help prevent false accounts that have been written in the past about what has happened at board meetings, particularly with the reporter for the Web Weekly that has written some false presentations in the past, not within the past year or so. There's been lots of comments made about the governor's budget, and Harrisburg spends too much with it, which may be, which may not be. But I think before you throw stones in somebody else's house, I would like to remind the public that a Republican-led government here had taken several $1 million out of the cash reserves to balance their own budget this year. Maybe it's time for the county to start looking into reducing expenditures and do some cutting. And I would like to ask Mr. Massera what the budget was here when he first come into office and what it is now, the county budget.
County budget ranges every year, so it's a living document. I think it was, I can't, I would say 1 year it might have been in the high 80s or low 90s. The next year it could be 103. This year, I think it's 120.
In other words,
it depends on the
it has increased, right, every year?
Well, wait a second. It depends on what projects that the county is undertaking. Like if we're going to do a communications program that is $7.5 million, it's going to increase.
Yeah.
But it's not that it's not needed.
Yeah, well, but it has increased.
Well, it has decreased.
Since you've been,
it has decreased as well.
There have been a lot of years that the budget has increased since you've been in office. Am I correct?
Well, yeah, if you want to put it that way,
okay,
John,
yeah,
you
right.
can.
Yeah, okay. In 1 year, and you drew down from your cash reserves. In 1 year, a couple of years ago, we had to pay, come across with a 1 mil tax increase.
John, let me address that. Since 2004, okay, right? This county's seen 2 tax increases since 2004. It's grown by about 1.9% a year. I think that's pretty conservative for a county government. Okay, I think it's very conservative for a county government, and we do watch what we're trying to spend. Most of our money is spent on services. It's spent on employees and health care. And unfortunately, you need them.
Doesn't Harrisburg face the same problems? Your expenses here, as you stated, are courts, the court cost,
yes,
health insurance, and wages. Same thing. So, but anyways, the budget has increased since you've been in office just about every year, and you did stick us with the 1 mil tax rates 1 year. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank
Any
you,
other
John.
public comment? Mr. Lauer.
I'll make it quick, because I know everybody wants to get out of here. Sorry about the way I'm dressed, I came right from the job.
Okay.
Todd Lauer, Jersey Shore. Mr. Massaro, I'm impressed with the comments you made. I thought I would be the only one who would chop on my own party. Nice job. About time you talk like that. Okay, now the bridge thing, that's why I asked this man to stick around, because obviously he knows. I keep hearing 17, 17, 17. When this all came about 3-4 years ago, it was 18 bridges. So my question is, where's the 18th bridge? Where's the money that we got money for 18 bridges and now we're saying it's only 17? Did we fix one? Or because when this all came about, when we had the meeting, it was for 18 bridges, not 17. So my question is, either where's the money for the 18th bridge, or was the 18th bridge fixed, or
Todd,
what's
I think
up?
this is Commissioner Maravito. I think one of the municipalities opted not to participate. If I'm correct in that recollection, I don't know if
That's correct.
There,
Okay.
That's correct.
All right, well,
Yeah.
I just wondered about that.
Yep.
And
Now, separate from the I don't mean to interrupt. Separate from the 17 local bridges, where the county bridges we're going to be able to fix.
Well, I know that the original deal was for 18 bridges. That's all. I just wanted an answer of why it was 17. And I believe, now I was in favor of this. I agreed with this, but I agreed on the basis that when the bridges were fixed, the $5 fee was going to be no longer put on to you know, the people of the county. But then I guess I think there's an option in there, I'm not sure, that we can opt out of that. Is that true?
Yeah, the county commissioners we could end it tomorrow, okay? The intent, like Commissioner Maravito was explaining earlier, is that we took out a 10-year bond that will be paid for by the $5 registration fee. Now, you have to understand that there's more than just 17 bridges. Okay, we identified 57 structurally deficient bridges. Then we prioritized them as far as the damage or the usage or the weight reduction,
Right.
how important they were. That was their job. That's what they did. And then we agreed, and but we could take that off at any time. Matter of, you know, if those structural deficient bridges in 10 years remain at the same standard, we can abolish this. But we had 57, so I would assume in 10 years we'll see some more bridges that need replaced.
What I'm reading from you here is this is like a kind of a long-term. Like
Yes.
it's not actually just for 18 bridges. If say 5 more bridges come deficient,
No.
now it could go. Okay.
No.
Huh?
That's dollar specific. That what we borrowed is dollar specific to the bridges that we're doing. Has nothing to do with anything over. Well, we're getting 2 bridges from the state, but it has nothing to do anything over the 20 bridges.
Okay. All right. Well, that answered my question.
But Mr. Lauer, I
Yes.
actually think that, honestly, as a commissioner, I would advocate that we keep this, because the infrastructure needs in our community, there are other items that this can be used for. We selected the bridge, but there's a list of items having to do with infrastructure that it can be used for. That's not what we voted for. The 3 of us voted just to do these bridges.
That's
But
it.
the point is that we have to repair infrastructure. One of the biggest problems every time you pick up the paper, whether it's water lines, sewer lines, the reason there's lead in water in cities is because they never replace the sewer lines, and the levee, I mean, it just goes on and on, right? Infrastructure always needs to be done, and I think this is a very inexpensive way and a very creative way by getting the engineering costs down. And if it can be done with other projects,
Yeah, I understand
as a
all that.
taxpayer, I'd be happy to put the $5 in.
Todd, when tax dollars are hard to find, especially these days, the main thing you want to do is leverage monies. And this is a perfect way to leverage the dollar. You have 95% being taken care of. A municipality who only has to pay 5% towards a new bridge, they can't afford the whole 100%. It's impossible.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not against this.
So this way they're paying 5% to a 95% match. So that's what you want to do. You want to leverage dollars, and the more we can do to leverage dollars, the more we can get accomplished.
I'm not a financial genius or anything, but I mean, I got the answers that I
Yeah.
wanted,
Okay.
that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment this time?
Sorry about kicking that thing off
Okay.
last time, my foot got tied up.
Hearing none, we have a long agenda today. We've completed it, so there's no meeting on Thursday. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, March the 9th, at 10 a.m. right here in this room. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.